is Karen. Welcome to another dolallycrafts I've forgotten the name of it. Flips and Folds Sunday. Sorry about that. Total brain blank. Okay, today's card, if I can find it under all of this mess. As I said in the previous video, I have cases of stamps surrounding me as I go through and decide what I'm keeping and what I'm going to be putting up for sale over the next few weeks. There's about 4 years worth of discontinued stamps to get rid of, so I'm going through all of them because I need to make room for new stuff. I need to be able to raise money for new stuff. Speaking of which, if you need to buy anything, please buy from me. It makes it easier for me to afford stuff. Okay, as I said, this is the card we're making today. As you can see, I've already stamped the back of this, and it says created by, and I've signed it. And then it says make a card, send a card, Stampin' Up. Bring that a bit closer so you can see. Please excuse my abominable writing, but that's my scribble. Okay, and this is the card. It's using the new Share What You Love DSP. The whole suite's used here, except for the ribbon and the embossing folder, which, as you'll know from the previous video, I forgot to order. But I'm actually using, because this is, oh, it's actually Berry Burst, but never mind. It actually looks close enough to Rich Razzleberry for the second generation stamping there, that it actually blends in really nicely with the card. I've even used the little gems that we get with the Share What You Love stamp set, and this one opens like that. I'm sure you've all seen these hidden message cards before, but I saw one of the other demos had done a similar card to this, but it wasn't a hidden message. It was a layer card. Chicken Scratch, I think it was. Angie Judah. And yeah, I thought she'd done a hidden message card, and when she started making it, I realised it wasn't. But I thought, what a great example you could make of this one. So, as I said, I'm using all of the wording stamps from my Share What You Love stamp set. There it is. Sorry, Love What You Do stamp set. Okay, so we're using the thank you. I'm lucky to have a friend like you. It's a beautiful day and love what you do. So we've got 3 of them on the front there. Open it up, and I'm lucky to have a friend like you. It's not stamped straight, unfortunately. But I also used the florals from the stamp set just to add a bit of decoration inside. I really like this card, even though I'm not a green person. Having said that, the card that we're making today on screen is another green. This time I'm using, I thought it was Pear Pizzazz, but it's not. It's Old Olive. I checked with my stampings, my ink pads, not my stampings, my ink pads, and it's actually Old Olive. All the measurements can be found on my blog. Now, I will bring in my stamp press. As you're all aware, if you've seen me before, I was impatient and went out and bought the Tim Holtz one because I couldn't be bothered waiting. I missed both of the order times for ours, for the Stampin' Up ones, and I was not going to wait until June, so I bought this back in January. Actually, no, I bought this back in December because I gave my mum hers for her birthday. Okay, I've already got my vellum piece mounted there, and I'm using Stays-On because the other black wasn't dark enough for my liking, and also the Stays-On dries a lot quicker. So I've just inked that up. Give it a press, and I'm just going to ink one more time. One more press. Beautiful. Okay, while I've got the ink here, just move all of these out the way. I actually had extra magnets at home. That's why I've got 4 of them on the stamp press. Just going to take that off so I don't forget to wash it later. Okay, so that's all I needed the stamp press for, and that's because I didn't want to slip on the vellum. Now, just to make sure, yeah, the wisp, I've got a lot of ink on my stays on pad, so I'm just going to pop that over there to dry for a few minutes. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to bring in my scrap. And on the scrap, you need to stamp. We now have the 2 stamps, so in with the stays on again. And we're just going to stamp these. Now remember, with the stays on, it's actually not a foam pad, it's a fabric covered pad. So you've got to twist and tap to get a good coverage. So just love what you do there. Beautiful, nice black, strong black. And the same with the thank you. Twist and stamp. And there we go. So we've got those 2 done. And since I've got that out, I'll pop those aside to dry for just a minute. Bring in my card base. Flip it the right way. And I'm going to try and get this to stamp straight. Wish me luck. I jiggled it a bit, but I'm quite happy with that. It is fairly straight from my angle. As you can see, I sort of, as I pulled it off there, it's clipped back and sort of given a bit of a shadow. But other than that, it's okay. Now, because I'm using Old Olive, I wanted to. I don't like the way the Old Olive stamps. Well, it doesn't look right stamping Old Olive as a flower. I know I used the Tranquil Tide there, but I'm partial to that colour. I'm not over keen on Old Olive, so I'm going to bring in my Rich Razzleberry for this bit, and I get good coverage on that. Give it a stamp off, and then very carefully so I don't transfer this extra ink. There we go. I think that looks beautiful. I'm quite happy with that, so I'll just pop that over there. Okay, that is all ready to go. So I'll bring that over. In with the stays on again. Twist and tap tap. Make sure I've got the stamp the right way up. Beautiful. Okay, pop that aside. I was going to write my name, but once again I've lost the pen. Oh, this desk. I promise by the time I make the next lot of videos, I'll have tidied this up so that I don't have rubbish everywhere. Well, it's not rubbish, it's stamps, as I've said, stamp cases. So the writing can wait until later. And I've just noticed I've got some of the Rich Razzleberry on the card front, so please excuse that. Give that another fold there. Now, in with the snail, I've got a ton of fast fuse refills laying around, but I can't find my fast fuse holder. It's probably under all of the stuff off that side. Okay, so there's the front of the card completed there, so I'll pop that aside. Now we're going to do the mechanism. So what I need to do, pop all of these aside for a moment and remember later where I've popped them. Now, as I said, we score it at a half. there, and then we score it at 5/8, and then we bring it up to 3 5/8 and score it again, and then we bring it up to 3 3/4, score it again, then we take it up to 6 3/4 and score it again. Pop that aside. Now I'll just make sure, yep, that's okay. I need to trim just a hair off, so it's not even an 1/8, it's probably a 1/16 that I've trimmed off there, just so that it folds up properly. Now bring in the bone folder and burnish each of those score marks. All of these 1/8 folds burnished as well. Now we have to come back in with the trimmer, and with this end piece that's just one straight piece, right, it's the one I trimmed the 1/16 off. What we have to do is trim in 1/8 at the top and 1/8 at the bottom, like so. I'm doing it roughly there with the trimmer, and then I'm going to come in with my scissors and just trim up to the fold, top and bottom, and trim that off, like so. There we go. So that's that part. The snail is not going to stick to this. Believe me, I tried. So what I'm doing, I'm bringing in some double-sided tape, and I'm just going to run it along one edge of the plastic, like that. This will stick, and I'm going to give that a bit of a rub with my bone folder just to make sure I've got that rubbed down properly. Now, I'm going to bring in the plastic, fold one side over, then take off the covering on the tape and bring that over and just wrap it round. Okay, so that's done. That is our secret mechanism in the centre there, and that should that'll slide round that centre piece really easily. Just trim that piece that's overhang off. So yeah, that'll run round that really nicely, as you can see. Now, pop that aside for a moment while we work on the inside of the mechanism. So I'll move those pieces aside. This piece is really easy. All we do is stick the layering pieces to the slides, like so. But when you lay them down, make sure you do them to either side like that. See how there's say a margin, like when you open a page, you've got a margin in the middle there. That's what you need. Now we'll bring in the pieces that I stamped earlier with the stays on, and I'm just going to punch them out. You can use any punch that you have. I like this one. so we'll punch those two out, pop that away, and then we'll stick these onto our sliders. So in the middle, find the middle of the slider like that and just pop that down, and the same on this side. Like that. See? Very easy there. Now bring in our front piece, and once again we'll do the same thing here. I've just realised I did have the other piece cut out. No, I'm going to use that because I really like the foiling on this one, so I'm just going to cover the opposite side. Like that. And then bring in the vellum piece, which is now dried, I hope. I'm just going to make sure by turning it over and getting rid of any extras that might be. There we go, that's better. Okay, so flip that over and bring in the glue dots. And even though glue dots are visible on vellum, they won't be as visible with this because we're going to cover them over with the gems. So one in each corner, like so, and then bring your top piece in. So we're not covering the beautiful paper. Oh, and I've forgotten something. Take that off again for a moment. Where did it go? Can you see the doily? Ah, there we go. So just cover this with some snail. I missed this out on the first one, but I was determined I was bringing it back in with this one. Okay, now we can pop that on and then bring in the artisan pearls. I love these little pearls. They're just over each of the glue dots that we put in the corners. Just put the gems. Now mint macaron is part of this suite, so this is part of the DSP, should I say. So that matches in really nicely with the Tranquil Tide and the Pear Pizzazz and the Old Olive that's all been used on this one. And I think Mossy Meadow's been used on this DSP. As I said in the lead up video to this, unless you're a green fan, this probably won't be your cup of tea. Green's not my cup of tea, but it's not too bad with this. Now we bring in our slider pieces, and the thank you is going to go underneath. So I need to put my double-sided tape. Remember, we're putting it on plastic, so we've got to use the double-sided tape. So right up against the edge, I'm going to pop this because it's approximately a centimetre wide, this tape. So I need it to be right up against the edge, and I'm going to burnish it on so that it holds up well. That's one, and I'm going to actually cover this a second time, but only half and half. Right, so half a centimetre in, and trim that off again and give it another burnish. And that's so that it doesn't slide all the way out on our slider. So I'm going to lay that there, even with the edge of the centre piece, so that it's going to go straight onto the plastic. So as you can see, that slides out nicely. So we'll pop that one back in. all the way to the edge there. Yep. And then we flip this one over and pop it on the back of the margin. Now this one is going to go on top but facing the other way. So line it up with the edge of the centre inner piece and just give it a press down. Now when we bring this piece over, we've just got those two little pieces hanging out the side. This piece at the back, tape on it again. Fold it over and give it a burnish so it stays down. So there's our slider mechanism. See? Brilliant. Okay, now we'll bring in our front piece and we're going to stick this right behind, directly behind it. And then we'll bring this piece over and just with your fingers sort of feel whereabouts on that front piece it needs to be. There we go. Perfectly aligned on there, as you can see. Give it a good press down. So that's that bit done. Now, as I said, I used Berry Burst. I don't mind that it's actually not one of the colours in the suite. And just trim that off. So I've got two tails, and all I did was folded it in half and using a glue dot just to hold it for me. There we go. That's one glue dot, and folding that in, I just popped that on there like so. Doesn't matter that it's unfolded, we'll fix that in a minute. There we go, and flip that and pop that there. And then come in with a stapler. If you're lucky enough to have the long stapler from Stampin' Up, that's fantastic. I don't, so I'm just using a little cheap one. Pop that one on there. And that one on there. And there we go, we have our slider tabs. So people will realise, oh, if I pull that, something's going to pop out. Okay, bring in our card front, which is all nice and dry on the inside, and it's just a matter of sticking that on the front now. So we'll flip it over, put a bit more tape like that, flip it over and then find the approximate centre of your card and just pop it down. Okay, I didn't make too much of a mess on my my paper sheet today, so we'll bring in the card sample that I made, and there's the card that I've made today. I'll just zoom in a little bit and you can have a... How's that look? I love these papers, I really do, even though I'm not a green fan. I think because it's got the Tranquil Tide in it and the Mint Macaron, it sort of won me over because I do like those two colours. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed today's card and you will join me again next week for another flips and folds. I'll have a think of what I want to do and I'll bring one to you. Okay, bye for now.